You're now listening to D&D live on demand. What up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Command, a D&D football podcast. It's your man DH, and of course, as always, we got Dee Middy in the building. Dee Middy, what up, bro?
Feeling good, feeling great. How you feeling tonight, brother?
Hey, man, I'm feeling amazing. We're on a couple game win streak, and it's because our defense is balling. But of course, we'll get into all that, all the intricacies of the Week 11 win against the Texans, and also get back to that Week 10 victory that we had over the Eagles. We'll talk about that and more right here on the podcast. So do us a favor if you're listening right now. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And if you feel so inclined to leave us a 5-star review, you could get your 5 seconds of fame. That's it. That's all. Dee Middy, ready to get into it, bro?
Let's do this.
All right, man. You know what it is. This episode of the Breaking Command podcast, of course, a D&D football podcast, getting into the Week 11 recap versus the Texans. Dee Middy, the 23-10 domination against the Texans. We got it in and we got the dub. Give me your initial thoughts on Sunday's victory down in Houston.
Starting off with a pick six and ending the game with only allowing one touchdown, it showed me that this defense knows how to pick up travel, and not only that, follow a very emotional game from the Eagles and be able to go and show your worth as a team. And not only that, the offense being conservative but yet consistent with the running game, and Taylor Heineke, no interceptions.
You know, we definitely could give props when props are due, and he has deserved those props. And we'll get into a little bit more Taylor Heineke later on in the program. But I'll say this, man, the defense has been playing dominant, bro. Like, they have been playing so well. It's ridiculous. And like you said, man, for the offense to start out with a quick 3-and-out, Tressway punting, and then the first offensive play from the Texans, to have Kendall Fuller take a short throw, pick six, and take it to the crib was a beautiful thing to watch. And little did we know that was a precursor of what would happen the rest of the day. John Allen and the front four dominated, getting multiple sacks against the Houston Texans offense, holding them to 9 total first half yards. 9. I feel like with a couple snaps, I may have been to contribute on the offensive line with the Texans. But the defense held firm the first half, basically 20-0. It was 20 to donut. If this was Madden, they would request a friendly quit. Okay, 20-0 in the first half, and it was a complete dominating first half. Dee Middy, I think we talked within at halftime, and we kind of had the sentiments like, all right, we kind of need to put it away. We kind of leave no doubt, right? And for them to only have a 23-10 victory kind of left a little on the table. Would you agree with that?
I truly believe that what John Allen said in the locker room after the fact proved that they know that they want. I don't want to use the term work. They know their ability. They know what they're able to do. It's just that they leave something out there. They have to understand how to be more consistent with, like you said, you leaving something out there, like what play was missed, who missed an assignment. And I feel like they're getting more, here. They're playing better here than they are, here, which is a good thing, because we all know, you've played the game before. The game is 85% mental, excuse me. And when you get it up here and you understand what everybody's doing, because with that being said, kudos to Jamin Davis. He's proven that he's getting it more here at the NFL level and being able to use that 15% of his physical ability to be able to be a contributor.
I mean, Jamin has played ridiculously well. I think, man, if it wasn't for like Geno or some other players around the league, in my eyes, he's like the comeback player of the year, because he had a terrible year one. And then this second year is just playing out of his mind, got the green dot, commanding the defense in in Cole Holcomb's absence and just running all over the field, making plays when it's needed. And I think with some of these guys, you don't hear their names called too much. And that's because they're getting the job done. They're making those sure tackles. They're doing what they need to do. They're calling the secondary and the front four's name very often. Okay. F.A. Obata got some sacks. Sweat was chasing Mills down. Jonathan Allen was getting back there. And Deron Payne, who every week makes a ridiculous play. Uh and truthfully, bro, and I know people have been talking about it. I don't think it'll be a problem to keep all of those guys. I think all those guys want to stay. And I think this
If
team,
there's a will, there's a way.
exactly. And I don't think you can lowball any of these guys. I think you gotta say, look, hey, this is what we're working with. We want to keep you here, and I think we're doing something special. I think you'll be able to resign Deron Payne because if you felt like you couldn't, you should have traded him. Point blank and
That
period.
what's the saying? That part.
That part. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they'll be able to, keep those guys in house and keep them in the building. But yeah, that first half, they dominated it, started, 20-0. At halftime, we talked and said that, they left a little bit that we feel like they should put it away. And in the second half, they only scored 3 points and then give up 10. While the game was never close, they could have done a whole lot better in that second half. Closing it out. I think what we said, like 2 more touchdowns would have felt more confident with the win. Granted, they did get the win, but I feel like they just geared down and they didn't do what they need to do. Granted, they were playing the Texans, but I feel like this game could have been used as a huge confidence booster for that squad.
Exactly. Because kind of to rewind back to the Eagles game to kind of encapsulate it with the Texans game, there were times when the offense should have scored touchdowns versus field goals to assure your win and put the team away early. Now, being up 14-0, and going into the half 20-0, okay, I'm thinking that they're gonna come up and put up at least another 14, 17 points because I did have my prediction before the game in our group chat at I think I had a 31-17
Something
or
like that, yeah.
34-17 something. So that's what I was like, okay, they got 20, in half. So,
30
another
to
30.
10, 30 to 10, 34 to 10. I'm actually okay with them giving up 10 points. Like that happens
Yeah,
because you gotta think the whole second half they're throwing the ball. They're trying to get the ball downfield and making plays. But I think another touchdown, just one more touchdown. If they'd have got it to 30 to 20, I think you would have kind of satisfied
yeah,
all the
30 to
fans
10,
like
yeah.
me who wanted more and who wanted to kind of show that in back-to-back situations they can put up points.
Absolutely.
And that's the one gripe that we've had against this team this year is that they haven't been able to put up the points needed to get the job done. And recently they have been. So in Philly they had that 30-point output, and then yesterday had the 23-point output. But the question was kind of raised earlier today in a few group chats and Twitter spaces,
Yeah.
and even a thread on Twitter. Are we confident that Four, who has been named the starter for the rest of the way, we'll kind of get into that as well with this. Uh, do we feel confident that Four can pass his way to some victories later on the season should we need it?
I believe that as his confidence grows, and Dotson, Samuel, and Gibson and Terrence are cohesive and they're all together because he hasn't had that full gamut. Now he's had the offensive line get a little bit more stable, get more stability from that front five, but he hasn't had the full gamut of the three-headed monster, Logan Thomas and AG and B Rob, like all together and getting more plays. Because I see that Scott has been pulling out different plays each game, new plays each game to open up that offense. So I believe he will. I believe there's going to be a game, even though I haven't been the biggest for Taylor Heineke fan. He's going to have a 3-touchdown game this season.
Hey, I'd love to see it because I feel like with the remaining schedule, we kind of looked at that recently, that you're gonna have to have one of those games where, and I think it's gonna be against Dallas at the last week of the season. And the thing about it is that game could mean everything for you getting in the playoffs, or not making the playoffs. And Dallas is no punk. Beating Minnesota like they stole something yesterday. Literally like putting a brace to them, beating them 40-3, bro.
Mm.
Um, they definitely quit the league after that, bro. They definitely was like, boot me out the league. I'm out. But for them to put
Was
the
that a bye week for the Vikings?
bro, I think they put the practice squad on the field, bro. Kirk Cousins was getting beat up, bro. Kirk Cousins
Mm.
was getting bullied back there, dog. We really should have somebody investigate, bro, because he was getting bullied heavily, bro. That's not a good look. That's not a good look
That's
for kids, bro.
was some of them hits even legal?
That's bro. So like I think Dallas would be the game where he needs to have a big passing game.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think like I've been saying all week, they've been winning in spite of, and he's been named the starter. The defense has played outside of their mind. But I don't know if he can actually pass us, to victory.
Mm-mm.
And I think I don't, but I don't know if we're built that way. If that makes sense, even though we have the special receivers the specialists at receivers, it's easy
Yes,
for me to say. Even though we have those guys, I feel like we're a run first team. We're a run to set up the pass type team.
that's absolutely right, brother. You are absolutely right. This team is built for being. If they make it there, they're built for the playoffs. They're built to stop the run the ball, and and just dink and dunk you all day and take over the time of possession. And they've proven it these last few games by having time of possession at about I'm looking at the stats here that they had time of possession at least 30 some minutes. Averaging and when you're doing that, you're preventing the other offense. That's your best defense. When your offense is on the field for that long, you're preventing the other offense from putting up points and even getting something clicking, because that touchdown Davis Mills had against us, like that was more so like, okay, they got I think they got a couple penalties in their favor on that drive, and it allowed them to to have a to keep something going. But when you don't as an offense, you're not going to win. This Washington Commanders team is built for the playoffs. Run the ball, stop the run.
No, I agree, man. I agree. And I think, you just gotta go take it one game at a time, play your best, and you got Atlanta coming to the table next week. And we're gonna actually get into that,
Blackout.
right? We're gonna get into Atlanta, not this episode, but in the next couple of days, because you're getting a two for this week. So we're going to talk about Atlanta in depth later on this week, dropping over the weekend before the game. We'll get into them, but I mean, basically, the Commanders are controlling their own destiny right here
Absolutely.
towards the last part of the season. They're in control of their own destiny, and they've been playing well to start 1-5 and now go 5-1. Um, if I'm not no, I'm sorry, to start 1-4 to go 5-1 now, being 6-5 with control of their own destiny throughout. Um, you gotta
That's
love
an
it,
about face, man. That is almost like a clear about face, a complete 180.
and you gotta speak to the testament of how Ron has coached these guys. Ron has done a spectacular job in the midst of drama coming out every week, in the midst of him losing family members, and then you revert back to Ron dealing with cancer and of course, dealing with more issues in and around the team. He's done nothing but just coach the team as best as he can, and the players have stepped up and played for him. And I love to see how they are able to do that. And Dee Middy, with that, we weren't able to talk about the Philadelphia win, the win over Philadelphia, rather. So we'll jump into that right now on Breaking Command. The Commanders ended the Eagles' win streak last week in Monday Night Football in very exciting fashion. Dee Middy, I'll tell you this, man. I was surprised. I was greatly surprised at how they played. Last week, that team just looked like a different ball club. A different ball club. Give me your thoughts about the win, about how the team looked, and was the win over the Eagles kind of set up the play against the Texans and how they performed.
Absolutely.
Give me that breakdown.
Absolutely. Man, listen, those first two series of offense and defense for the Commanders almost made me want to give up on the game as a whole, because I believe you and I texted and said the conversation is, I'm paraphrasing, felt like the Monday Night Massacre. Is this what it's going to be? And shout out to my guy Phil. I was texting both of you guys during the game, and he and I was both saying the same thing. Like, why can't this team start out on the right foot and show that they could take over a game? But what they do, they win a boxing match. When they got hit, they gave two back, and once once they got that lead, I'm like, okay, because the Derek Force interception, bro. The Derek Force interception proved to me not only are they not being coached right, but they know, they feel, they believe they can win.
Defoe has been on a run this season that we saw from week one, where he was coming in sub packages, and we were like, bro, he made it. He got a turnover. He got a nice pick against Jacksonville, and we're like, bro, you got to find a way to get this guy on the field. Well, that means going base nickel. You know what I'm saying? And basically a 4-2-5 set. You know what I'm saying? We're having a fifth defensive back on the field. Um, like you had to keep him on the field, and he's done nothing but every week, bro. Been forced to fumble, got a pick, made a play. Like this guy is a steal for us, bro.
I'm telling you, man, for Christmas, I think I'm gonna get that burgundy default.
Ooh, that 2-2.
That burgundy tutu, bro. I said at the beginning of the season I wanted the Saint Juice. Saint Juice been balling, but
He has,
default,
bro.
both of those guys have proven to me that not only that they've wanted their time to shine, that they were working hard for it, that they're not gonna, like you said about number 14. If he gets on the field, he's not giving up that job. In 25 and 22, they said this is our job.
25 and 22 played so well that the team was like, all right, we can get rid of three. Like we can
Especially
get,
20, especially St. Juice, and when they believe that he can follow a number one receiver.
but you know what? A lot of times with that Dee Middy, a lot of that comes with and this word is don't be taken out of context, but I think a lot of it comes with youthful ignorance, where you don't feel like when you're young, you
I
don't
know what
feel
you
like
mean.
yeah, when you're young, you don't feel like you don't care about the old guy on the block. You don't care about the OG. Like you
No,
just when you're young, you got that dog in you, and you just kind of like, well, I'm here, so I'm gonna go out and just do what I do. You know what I'm saying?
it's arrogance to it's arrogance to a degree, but at the same time, it builds confidence.
Absolutely. And for those guys to really come out and just be like, it don't matter. I'm gonna make you play me. And Defoe to always be around the ball, making those plays against Philly, and then to follow that up with making plays against Houston. Like our defense as a whole has just played well, and I think that Monday night victory, like it kind of
Man, it boosted those guys
it
into
did.
like the top 5% of DBs. I think they're ranked in their positions in the top three in PFF and other grades. If and I can be still corrected, but when the last time I seen it after the Philly game, they was at like a high mid 80 percentile grade.
And the thing about it was the win didn't feel fluke either. Like it was convincing. Like you felt like
But let's give our respect to the
yes,
Philadelphia Eagles,
that's
because not only was that a win against an 8-0 team, but that was a win against a team that was at home and never say die.
yeah, yeah. They were at home, and even when Philly kind of because they were up at one time, right? It was 20, was it
They,
21?
they were up 14-7.
Right.
And then it was 14-10 going into half, I believe.
And
Man,
even
I was trying to pull it up, but I couldn't
it's
find
okay. It don't matter because they won anyway, so it don't matter. But even when they were down, they didn't give up. They kept fighting, and and then they put on that long drive, and they just kept playing football. And I was watching even after that long drive in the score. I'm like, bro, these guys can play some football. Like when they want to, they can really play ball. When they value the football and don't turn it over, they can play some good football. And that's important going down the stretch.
and especially going and like you said down the stretch and going and playing playoff football, because you and I both know when it comes down to December and January football, when you're playing for when I call it money ball, if you can control the clock, which is what Washington have done over these last few games, they have shown that they can control the time of possession, they can convert third downs at a higher percentage than they've done before, and when you need a touchdown, when you need a big play, where's Terrence?
bruh. And then you know
Go
he's
find him.
he's been getting more targets. He's been getting catches. Um, but I mean, they just playing good ball, man. They're just playing great ball. Joey Sly, kick, big leg Greg. That's what I called him. Kick the ball. I don't know, had a
Kudos.
58-yarder and a 55-yarder. When you needed those kicks the most, you could depend on them. And it was like, wow, he made them. Like, normally we've had kicking issues in the past where you might go
Yeah. I
because
was about to say,
he was
i.e.
4
Dustin
for 4.
Hopkins.
Right. He was 4 for 4. You might have one where he go 2 for 4, or what I'm saying? Because in those situations, when you're backed up, when you're at midfield, to kick a 58-yarder, that means you got trust in your kicker to kick the ball from midfield. Versus
To
punting him
keep you in the game. And,
yeah.
and and not just to put up points, but the point of it all was to keep that team in the game, because that team gets in the red zone, I'm pretty sure Scott's going to draw up a play, whether it's a shotgun or not. He's going to draw up a play to try to get the ball in the end zone. But to trust your kicker at midfield to give you points and to continue to stay in the game and continue to take the lead, yeah, that's trust, brother. That's trust. And kudos to Sly, because him and the defense for that Eagles game and this Texans game gave me big points these last two fantasy weeks.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And then, we fast forward to this week where the Commanders did beat the Texans 23-10. You kind of looked at the Eagles. The Eagles was playing the Colts and was down. They had to have a fourth quarter
They went
comeback
in. They
to win
went
the
down. They went in the half. I think they was down 10-3 or 13-3 going
they
in the
still
half.
played the ball.
Hey
And to the
man,
Colts, man.
just Saturday.
Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. We'll move on. But ah, but no, the Commanders playing well in this streak right now. And D Middy, I kind of want to pull up the schedule so we can talk about it the rest of the way.
Let's
Uh,
do it.
so for these next few weeks, this is the crucial part of the schedule, man. Very crucial. You're 6-5 right now, with Atlanta coming into town, and then you got your bye week split up. Where week 13 you go to the Giants, and then you got a bye week, and then you play the Giants at home, and that's in that stretch. Then of course you finish with San Fran on Christmas Eve, Cleveland on New Year's Day, and then finally the Dallas Cowboys for week 18. So this back half of the schedule, this back ending piece of the schedule is really crucial to your playoff hopes. And it starts with Atlanta with week 12. Atlanta, who's played good at times this year, the Commanders really need to pull out all stops to get to this point, because I'm gonna tell you, this stretch between the Giants is gonna be tough. Playing the team back to back
Absolutely.
like that is gonna be tough, even with the break in between. Excuse me, the break in between. The Giants have been a tough team.
Absolutely, man. I was looking at the schedule, man, and what's crazy is starting with the Eagles game. I had us actually losing that game, going back to my schedule prediction, which was back in May. But this Texas game, I did have us winning, and I have us winning this Falcons game, because going into the stretch, going into the Falcons week 12 and Giants week 13, and having a bye late in the season, you're getting back the Predator. Number 99 is coming back, the defensive player of the year. So not only does this defense are they rocking and rolling, they getting back a significant bishop or a knight on the chessboard. So I see this Falcons game with the blackout. We get 99 back. Oh man,
And we can pause right there because that's a big deal. Chase Young finally set to return for week 12 against the Falcons. There were some questions that he was going to return against Houston,
Mhm.
but they pushed it back, and we were kind of the agreement that take as long as you need because he's your future. So take as long as you
Absolutely.
need to let him get back and get healthy. And they're saying he's healthy. He was at practice today out there. It was all smiles. He looks ready to go. He's excited. So I think now getting him back, even if it's in a limited capacity, him being added to that defensive line can only help the defense get better. Adding a guy like Chase Young back to that defensive line is ridiculous because you got to think from the defensive line positions from like 1 through 7, you're getting plays from all those guys, from John Allen to Deron Payne to Montez Sweat to
Yes.
Opata to James Smith Williams to Casey Toohill, and then my man, what's my guy that power drove the dude up or power
Oh,
bomb?
Ridgeway. I was gonna bring him
Oh,
up later on.
yeah.
Yeah, Ridgeway. Yes, sir.
I thought it was Kevin Nash, bro. The way he power bomb. I thought it was Monday Nitro, dog.
In Tampa, Florida, welcome to WCW Monday Nitro. We're on the air for 3 solid hours live. And as you heard at the top of the program, we anticipate one of the biggest tag team events in the history of professional wrestling.
You thought it was Big Van, you thought it was Big Van Vader versus Ron Simmons for the championship.
Hey, I love Ron Simmons too, by the way, dog.
Hey,
But
we wrestling fans over here too.
hey, believe it. But like just that defensive line, bro, they're playing well. Didn't it get chased back into that? You actually bringing him back into a situation where you're not gonna have to depend on him. You can kind of bring him back and kind of slow walk where he can be a situational player. He
Pitch
can be a
count, pitch count. He's your closer. Put him in as your closer. He only needs, as baseball terms, he only need about 60 pitches, 60 to 70 pitches.
bro,
Strikes.
bro. Imagine getting beat on for first down and second down, and then third down, here come Chase Young. So let's say you're in like a third and
On
like
the
a
pat, like a 3rd and 6. It's a passing down.
I was gonna say, imagine in a sure passing down. Like imagine it's 3rd and 12, and we know you got to pass, and there's no question about it. And you got Chase Young,
99 is on the field.
he gonna pin his hair back and go get you. And you still got Jonathan Allen working his way up through the front of the line like it's nobody's business, huffing and puffing and blowing people house down, bro. And it's ridiculous how he's been playing. So
Hey
those
man,
situations, bro, I love that for him.
John Allen has been, in all due respect, the Terry McLaurin of that defense. He's been the surefire leader, the surefire, I'm gonna, follow my lead type of play. He can walk it like you're talking, and he talk it like you're walking, man. And you can't give enough flowers to those two guys, man, for holding it down on both sides of the ball. And let's give a shout out to the special teams, man. 39, 35, and 34. Shout out to Jeremy Reeves, Christian Holmes, and No Mercy Percy Butler. Shout out to my man Slim for dubbing him that.
Yeah, big facts, bro. Like the team has been playing on all cylinders and playing well. So I think adding a guy like Chase Young can only help the team get to where they want to go, man. And this defense, like I said, man, has been playing well. And it's funny, I'm just watching the fastest 3 minutes in football.
Right.
Berman. Bro, that's the Colts' second loss of 17-16. They lost to us 17-16. They lost to the Eagles 17-16. That's crazy.
That's
And
crazy.
the Giants losing 31-18. So I just saw that and I thought it was crazy.
Hey, the Lions just proved that they are better than the bottom half of our division. I mean, they beat us. I mean, respect. They beat us week 2. They beat the Giants, and they
But I
gave
think,
they gave Philly hell.
but when you start winning games now, this is where you show like you able to kind of build off the kind of team that you are. Because I think early on, you really don't know anything yet. But when you start
No.
winning games like after the mid-season point and like winning them handily, like we know
Mm-hmm.
what Dallas is. We know Dallas is a good team. The way they just
Absolutely.
manhandled the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. So at this point, when you're winning games, you're kind of a good team. And that's why I think with us, we're a good team, bro. I think we found the formula to win and play well.
Man, I feel like the pundits, the journalists across the NFL world, across the world, period, man, they're really looking at this Commanders team as like, okay, so they want to see what this team has next. I I truly feel like that not only do they see that we are a well-coached team, that we have the talent because I know a lot of pundits got tired of saying, oh, they have these first-round picks on D-line, they have these first-round picks on D-line. And now John Allen and Deron Payne are playing like they should have been first overall picks in that draft.
And then you got Fedarian Mathis come back next year, who was injured this year. Like you forgot
My
about that.
God.
Just remember, like they have so much depth. That I'm telling you, bro. If there's one thing that this team has done very well, that is draft defensive linemen. I don't care who's been here; they've always been able to draft one of the best defensive linemen in every draft. And it's ridiculous how good they hit on.
Because think about all Ron had to do. When he came to this team, you already had Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, and John Allen. When you came to the team, those guys are already there under rookie contracts. John Allen was the only one coming up to being under contract that needed it, that was coming up under contract year maybe. Then you inherit Terry McLaurin. You inherit that, right? And you inherit an O line that wasn't the best, but they were top tier. They was in the top 10, 15% of the league. So okay, Ron. So what you looking at? Okay, they already got the pedigree there. Like they got a defense. Let's get a running back. Let's build this running game. Let's add to that defense and draft. We got out of here the 3 or 13 team. They're the second pick overall. If Joe Burrow don't fall, who else will we get? But the Predator. So he inherited something that he already knew he could build upon.
This team is only missing one, in my opinion. They're truly now. I feel like they're truly a quarterback away, a legit quarterback away from like being a good team again. And I know we got holes that we can fill on offensive line, and we probably could go for having another corner with depth and maybe another linebacker for depth. But I
Maybe
think
linebacker.
as a starter, we need a starting quarterback. And I think if we able to find that sooner rather than later, we'll be good to go.
I don't want to ask you a question to start like a whole segment, but I just want to get your quick opinion. Would Russell Wilson have made this team much better? I know what he's done. I know what he's done in Denver. I know what he's done in Denver. But would Russell Wilson have put this team in a position where they was at like maybe not 6-5, maybe 8-3?
So here's the thing with Russell Wilson. So here's my thing with Russell. I feel like he inherited a similar situation in Denver, but I don't think Denver is coached well enough.
That's why I say, would he have made this? Because I know some of our friends out there in social media and our good buddies, whatever, going to hear this and they're probably going to be like, man, but Taylor Heineke and Scott Turner, and they're gonna bring up the variables of why not. But let's think about how it could have, with, like you said, a quarterback away with the team building this type of momentum with a Russell Wilson, who's a leader.
Man, Russell in this scheme, bro. I think Russell will work well, and especially being coached by Ron. But you look at what we've been able to do and not have him. I think
Respectfully.
yeah, it's a cheaper alternative. We got a cheaper alternative route, and I think we would have gotten similar results. So
Which is why. No, go ahead.
I don't think if you'd asked me this before the season, it's a different question. But I don't think we would have been as upgraded as we thought we would have by getting Russell, and especially what they would have had to give up to get him. I don't know why the Broncos rushed to re-sign him like that early.
Well, $230 million, man. Oh my gosh. But anyway, but that's just it. I just wanted to pose that question based on what you were saying, and not to once again go into a whole nother segment. But it just dawned on me that we both feel that way, that this team is a quarterback away, and Taylor Heineke proves that he can be efficient. Once again, kudos, Taylor Heineke. You didn't throw an interception this game, even though you didn't throw a touchdown either. You didn't throw an interception.
191 yards. Whoever in the background think that's funny too. I know. I believe it's funny too. No, it's good. But you know what else?
That was right on time.
You know what else, man? I think it's time for one of our most favorite segments here on the Breaking Command podcast, a D&D football podcast. And I believe, Dee Middy, it's time to get wild. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the favorite segment. Let's get wild.
And I am ready to get wild because just how we've been talking about, number 99 is back. And you know what? This is a blackout game. You know what Chase Young is about to do to them Falcons? Ooh, boy, he's about to, I don't care if he don't get a sack, but as long as he gets some quarterback hurries, and as long as he get out there and cook and push that, and set the edge.
Set that edge, brother.
Set the edge. Chase Young, get wild, get gritty, get dirty, and let's go bird hunting, boy.
Listen, man, it's time for my piece of the Get Wild segment. And I believe, Dee Middy, you might want to hold on to your seat for this one, brother. I believe that we talked about him earlier in the podcast. We asked if he could actually do it. I'm not a big fan of his, but I believe he'll get wild. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this week, Taylor Heinicke is going to get wild.
What the hell did you just say?
I believe it's time for Taylor Heinicke to throw 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Week 12 against Atlanta. He will have 3 touchdowns. And if we get lucky, he may have a 4. But let's shoot for 3 first. I believe that Taylor Heinicke will get wild this week coming up. Even though we have another show to record before the game actually happens. But it doesn't matter because we're going to do it again. And I have a different one. But I believe Taylor Heinicke will get wild against the Atlanta Falcons.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our favorite segment. Let's get wild.
Yes,
Dee Middy, let's get into our final thoughts real quick of the Week 11 victory over the Houston Texans. Dee Middy, what are your final thoughts as we get ready to close?
I appreciate the coaching staff. Shout out to Jack Del Rio. Shout out to the special teams coach. I forget his name. It slips my mind. I want to say Ben Kawika, but I know he's gone.
It ain't him.
Shout out to Drew Terrell, man. Shout out to Drew Terrell for coaching up those receivers, man. Shout out to Randy Jordan and the first lady, Jennifer King, man. Shout out to them for coaching up the running backs and getting Brian Robinson the AG. Just my final thoughts is, man, all in all, the coaching staff did what they were supposed to do.
Absolutely, man. And special teams coordinators, Nate Katzer.
That's his name. It always slips my mind. For some reason, it's like I miss Ben Kotwiga because he was like, he had energy, but Nate Katzer, Tressway, Cheeseman, the rest of the guys you said earlier, salute.
Man, I think, and to your point, man, definitely kudos to the coaching staff because they have been able to withstand a S-storm of just negative things since they've been
just
here.
brushing it off.
And they truly have been the epitome of separating upstairs from downstairs, for lack of better words. Like they're able to focus on what they can control, and that's football. And they've been doing a great job at that, with making the right calls and the adjustments to really run the football game well, running the football aspect of it. And that's what Ron said a couple of weeks ago in the press conference. Like, I can only control what I can control, and that's just the football side. And that's what we're going to do. So we can't control what happens with, Dan Snyder. We can't control who buys the team. We can't control none of that. We can only go out and fight for our jobs and play good football. And that's what they've been doing. And I think this team has really has begun to be the darlings this season and become the favorite. And that's helped with Taylor Heinicke. He's been they've galvanized themselves around Taylor Heinicke. They have showed that they're going to play good football around him. And they're going to just play within themselves and make it one play at a time. While that sucks for Carson's opportunities, I believe that Carson is being a great team player. He's supporting. I don't see him pouting, none of that stuff. Like every time I see him, he's smiling. He's doing, and per all reports, he's doing what he can to help Taylor. Whether he's going to come back and be in the backup role or inactive, he's doing whatever he can do to help the team out. And I feel like he respects Ron because Ron went to him and said, "Hey, look, I can't really change up the thing right now. I can't do it."
You
And
gotta
it,
understand. You gotta
and it
understand. Hey, because to piggyback on what you're saying, every video I've seen and every time I seen him go to him on the sidelines, he's there with the tablet, with the quarterback's coach and the backup or what have you, with Taylor Heineke talking about plays and smiling, they're talking. You know, the video that was shared online about, you know, who's the most famous contact in your phone, the
yeah.
image. And to me, seeing that kind of interaction, you know, that shows me that he understands that this is a business, and if I want to keep my job, I'm gonna keep my job, or at least a job, by any means necessary.
And Dee Middy, look, let me just and let's just keep it 100, bro. If your job really said, "Hey, look, show up, be a good team player, but you don't have to work for 8 hours. Like you just prepare like you're gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Prepare like you're gonna work, be a good team player, cheer up your coworkers, but you don't have to work for 8 hours.
Thank you.
And you get paid one of the highest paid guys.
I ain't even want to bring that part in, but think about that. Just think about that.
If I'm him, I'd be happy too, bruh.
26 million after taxes, he gonna be looking at least 22, 20 million, you know, maybe somewhere in the millions. I mean,
Now, granted, we're all competitors. We want to compete, right? Even if, and not real life, because nobody cares. If they said show up and all you gotta do is sit for 8 hours, cool, and I don't have to do nothing, fine. But in real life with sports, yes, you want to compete, but you gotta look right now. He's in a catbird seat, right?
yes.
Be ready when it's time for you to go in. You're making a great amount. Support the team, because truthfully, the team supported you when nobody wanted you. And I think that's what he's kind of understanding, that Ron really went out of his way to go get him, and really, kind of make him the guy when he didn't have to. And now I'm like, just be available, just make yourself available. So when your number is called, then it's your time to go. But in the meantime, just keep supporting them. And that's the thing. I love to see it because I think this team right now cannot afford any chinks in its armor if they really want to push to the playoffs. They can't afford to have no setbacks with teammate chemistry, with all that. Everybody has to be working towards the same goal. So imagine if Chase came back and said, "I want 100% of the snaps." No, bro, you can't. No. First of all, you're not going to get 100% of the snaps because everybody else around you is playing so well that we can use you situationally and don't have to burn you out.
And everybody else, you can come back and help everybody else with your pitch count. You can give Hill, you can give James Smith-Williams, you can give those guys a bottle, you can give those guys time to rest, get back on the field, and it can be a heavy rotation of pressures and rushes and sacks.
Bro, that's the one thing, and I know we're going off subject, but who cares? It's our show. As coaching the defensive line, bro, I had my position group was the most vast position group, because I would have, out of the 18 kids that we had on the team, bro, 9 of them played defensive line for me. So I literally had like different situational rotations. As 7-year-olds, I had different situational rotations. What I want on first and second down, what I want on third and fourth down, or who I wanted with who. So maybe if we're going to check to a certain call, I may have this kid play here and this kid play here. If I have them playing in the B and the D gap on this side, I may have them playing the B and then playing in the over, you know what I'm saying, which is outside the first. Like, it's so situational. So I had different guys that can do that. And by the Commanders having different defensive linemen who can really bring so much to the table and be effective at every position on the front line, whatever technique they want to play, they are being efficient and being effective. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in that system, bro? I might be able to get a couple snaps, seriously, at defensive line for them, and they might make me look good when Jonathan Allen is driving the guard back. Jonathan Allen had a field day with that rookie guard, bro. Made him look bad, bro. He was looking so bad.
And I like Kenyon Green coming out of school, man, but he proved, like John Allen proved to me, bro, like, hey, this is a grown man's league.
Bro, Jonathan Allen, for a couple snaps in the replay they show, he got off the ball and all Kenyon Green could do was hug him, bro. He hit him
he said that's a move. I think called the bump move. Some move that Jim Tom, which is one of his favorite coaches, Nick Saban, and taught him that move when his first couple of years, and he said some guys just don't know how to block. They don't know how to respond to that move. And as a rookie, you need to learn. you might want to go back and watch film and figure out how to block.
And the thing is, John Allen is not mentioned in the same sentence as Aaron Donald, but he's as effective as him.
But and he has been more effective than. I'm not gonna do it. Just go. Go. Cook, bro.
Hey, man, look. Kenyon Green was hitting him with the "come here, baby." Give me a hug. Hey, dog. If I was his offensive line coach in film session, because I had to keep it light, because he know he had a terrible day.
Would you coach 30 him? Would you do him like Coach 30?
Look at him here. Look at him. You got hit with the "come here, baby." You can't do that. That's not in our playbook. If I was his offensive line coach and I pull up the game tape, I'd be like, look at this. 2nd down in a critical down where we needed it. Kenyon, we don't have the "come here, baby" in our playbook, bro. That is not a blocking scheme, bro. You can't do
it. Where did you find in what part of the playbook did you see where it says let's be intimate during the game?
Look, and what part of the playbook what part of the playlist was Whitney Houston, "I Want to Dance with Somebody"? Because that's exactly what you've been doing.
Come on,
you
man.
Got up and hugged them, and y'all dancing like you at the prom, bro. Prom was months ago. This is not prom season no more, dog.
Come on, man. And give him respect, man, because he kept coming back, bro. They did the coaches didn't take him out. He kept playing, bro.
Dee Middy, he kept coming back because they kept him in.
They kept him in, bro. Shout out to the coaches.
Like, hey, yeah, imagine it be for a second. Hey, nah, dog.
Hey, look, as an old lineman, if you do this as an old lineman, you might as well cancel Christmas.
That's it, bro. You won't see that field again. You better take a knee. Say, I'm hurt. That's the only way you can get a break. You get look. And you take a knee, right? Trainers can see, hey, Dee Middy, what's wrong? You be like, man, he dogging my shit, bro. I can't even get out.
Hey, look, my mom out there in the stands, man. My auntie and them, man. I want to see. Hey, man.
You see him on the knee. They like, what's wrong, baby? And
they jealous because I'm hugging him. I'm hugging them more than I hug them.
Little do you know, you down there with the trainer, and they trying to figure out what's wrong with you. You like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Man, I'm just getting my head rocked, bro. I just need to take a minute, dog. I need to let him cool off a little bit because I'm getting cooked right now.
Man, was he cooking, man? Them boys, man, I will say this about that D-line, man. Them boys, they've been really working on their techniques, man. They really have been in the lab. And shout out to Deron Payne, boy. Whatever bag he get, I hope it's a burgundy and gold bag.
Bro, he gotta stay here, bro.
I hope it's a burgundy and gold bag, man. You know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna land this plane real quick. It would be nice to keep Howell, Heineke, and Wentz as your quarterbacks, and to be able to restructure Heineke restructure Wentz, so that way you can pay Deron Payne this year, and then make it as to where if Wentz you don't work out, we're gonna let you go because we're gonna have to pay Sweat the next year. If you don't work out, we're gonna have Howell starting. And then
I don't and truthfully, we're about to close. Long term, I don't see an issue with Wentz coming back as like a backup or in a position to help out. I don't see a problem.
This quarterback room is the best alternative to be able to win next year because your young boy can be able to learn, which is how we'll be able to learn from the elder statesmen, and you have two guys that have proven that, unfortunately, Wentz at this point, and I've hated to say, he's shown he's just a backup. Wentz and Heineke are true backups to each other. They're true backups in the league, and you have the guy that needs to be grown to be able to start his 3rd year, because as a 5th-round rookie, when he starts, his contract extension ain't gonna be that much if he cook.
Nah, you're right.
Just saying.
You're right. Dee Middy, man, I think it's another great episode, man, of the D&D Breaking Command and D&D football podcast. And before we get out of here, man, I just gotta say, man, those haters can't stand us. Left hand up. Who are we?
The Commanders.
Hey, hail to the Commanders. We'll see you later on this week with the Week 12 edition of Breaking Command podcast. Hey, stay safe, stay beautiful, and always hail to the Commanders. Peace
Like,
and
subscribe,
love.
and comment.
Oh yes, do that, please.
Had to throw that in real quick.
Right, hey, throw it in. That's my time marker.